Mindfulness, cultivating relationships that last through presence. Part 1. It's not about fixing, it's about showing up. There's a moment, maybe you felt it too, when you're sitting across from someone you care deeply about, and yet you feel miles apart. The words don't land. The silence stretches. You're both there, but not really here. This quiet distance isn't always about conflict. Sometimes it's simply the weight of everyday life. The scroll of the phone, the blur of schedules, the unspoken assumptions that build up like dust in a forgotten room. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen master beloved across the world, reminds us, the most precious gift we can offer others is our presence. When mindfulness embraces those we love, they will bloom like flowers. This is where it begins, not with grand romantic gestures or perfectly worded conversations, but with presence, full, undivided, grounded presence. Relationships don't thrive because we say the perfect thing. They thrive because we show up, again and again, fully present. So what does that look like in real life, between partners, friends, parents, and kids? Let's start with something simple, powerful, and beautifully human. The daily appreciation ritual. It might sound cliche at first, but imagine starting your day, or ending it, by looking your partner in the eye and saying, "One thing I really appreciated about you today was..." That's it. Just one thing. It could be small. "I noticed how patient you were with the kids this morning." It could be sweet. "You made me laugh when I really needed it." It could be deep. "I'm grateful for how you always make me feel safe to be myself." This practice, often used in mindfulness-based relationship therapy, is deceptively simple. But it rewires the emotional tone of the relationship. It shifts your brain's attention from complaint to gratitude, from what's missing to what's already good. And guess what? Gratitude is contagious. Neuroscience confirms that appreciation not only boosts well-being, but also strengthens the neural pathways of connection. Couples who practice daily appreciation are more resilient during conflict. They repair faster. They trust deeper. Thich Nhat Hanh used to tell his students, "You have 24 hours to live. Don't waste them in forgetfulness." Appreciation is a doorway to remembering what matters. This isn't therapy. It's intimacy. Let's be honest, not everyone loves structured rituals. Some people might say, "This feels forced." That's okay. It's not about checking a box. It's about creating space. If it helps, skip the formal ritual and find your own rhythm. Maybe it's during breakfast or right before you fall asleep. Maybe it's a quick voice note. The point is, you're choosing to notice. You're choosing to name. And that naming creates warmth. The Buddhist monk Jack Kornfield, one of the leading voices of mindfulness in the US, often reminds us, the heart is like a garden. It can grow compassion or fear, resentment or love. What seeds will you plant today? Gratitude is a seed. Appreciation is the water. What if I'm single or the only one practicing this? Mindfulness isn't about fixing others. It's about transforming our way of being. If you're not in a romantic relationship or your partner isn't into this mindfulness stuff, don't worry. Start with yourself. Begin by noticing your own efforts, your own growth, your own beauty. Then extend that noticing to your friends, your parents, your coworkers, even your barista. Try this. Next time someone shows you kindness, pause and let it land. Say out loud or silently, "I appreciate that." And if you live with someone who isn't open to mindful practices, lead with example, not expectation. When they feel your presence, when they feel heard and seen, the ripple effects will come. Maybe not right away, but it starts with one person choosing presence over autopilot, presence over perfection. We don't need to be saints. We just need to be here. The practice of appreciation isn't about being cheerful all the time. Some days will be hard. Some days you won't feel like offering anything. That's okay. What matters is returning. Thich Nhat Hanh said, "When you love someone, the best thing you can offer is your presence. How can you love if you are not there?" And truly showing up, even in silence, even in difficulty, is a profound act of love. Let this be a reminder, not a rule. So if you're reading this and thinking, wow, I haven't said anything kind to my partner in days, that's okay. Breathe. Let this be a soft bell, not an alarm. Mindfulness doesn't scold, it invites. You can start now, tonight, with a single sentence. Hey, I just wanted to say, I really appreciate you for a score, and watch what blooms from there. Up next in part 2, deep listening. The art of understanding without fixing, Ridile. Stay grounded and keep practicing with us at Mindfulness. Deep listening. The art of understanding without fixing. You've probably had this moment. You're pouring your heart out, trying to explain how you feel, and the other person jumps in with advice. Or worse, they try to solve you. Suddenly, the space you needed to feel seen turns into a problem-solving session, and you walk away feeling even more alone. Here's the truth. Most of the time, we don't want to be fixed. We want to be understood. Thich Nhat Hanh taught that deep listening is the kind of listening that can help relieve the suffering of another person. He called it compassionate listening, and it's at the heart of mindful relationships. So how do we actually do this? Step 1, drop the agenda. When you listen mindfully, you're not waiting for your turn to talk. You're not preparing a response. You're not silently judging or trying to diagnose. You're just there, present, breathing, receiving. This might sound easy, but in a culture that worships productivity, silence can feel awkward. But silence isn't passive. It's powerful. As meditation teacher Tara Brach says, the quality of our listening determines the quality of our relationships. You don't need all the answers. You just need to stay. Step 2, listen with your whole body. This isn't about nodding politely. It's about embodying attention. Turn toward the person. Make eye contact if that feels safe for them. Uncross your arms. Soften your face. Relax your breath. Even your posture can say, I'm here. I care. Sometimes just a quiet I hear you or that sounds really hard is enough. You're offering validation, not evaluation. Step 3, don't interrupt the storm. Thich Nhat Hanh often used the image of a tree in a storm. When someone is upset, it's like they're caught in wind and thunder. Your job is to be the solid trunk, not get blown around, not add more wind, not chop down the tree. Let them storm. Stay rooted. This doesn't mean tolerating abuse or disrespect. Healthy boundaries matter, but it means allowing someone to have their full emotional experience without rushing to tidy it up. What if they're saying things you disagree with? Here's where mindfulness really gets real. Can you stay present, even when your ego wants to jump in and defend itself? Can you breathe through your triggers? Can you pause long enough to see the pain underneath the anger? Mindful listening doesn't mean you agree. It means you're choosing connection over control. Zen teacher Joan Halifax says, compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. It's a relationship between equals. When we listen deeply, we meet each other in our shared humanity. A personal story. One woman shared how this practice changed her marriage. Her husband would often come home frustrated from work and complain endlessly. Her instinct was always to give advice, to try to cheer him up or to fix the mood. It rarely worked. They ended up arguing. After reading about deep listening, she tried something new. One night, she simply sat beside him, said nothing, and gently placed her hand on his. She listened, without interrupting, without fixing. When he finished, she quietly said, "That sounds like a really heavy day." Her husband started crying. He said it was the first time in weeks he felt truly heard. Sometimes what people need isn't a solution. It's a soft landing. You can practice this anywhere. This isn't just for romantic partners. Try it with your kids, your friends, that coworker who always seems irritated, even strangers. The next time someone speaks to you, ask yourself, can I listen just to understand? Not to correct, not to debate, not to one-up, just understand. It takes practice. You'll mess it up. You'll catch yourself drifting, judging, preparing your clever response. That's okay. Notice, breathe, come back. Meditation for deep listening. Try this together. Set a timer for 3 minutes each. Partner A speaks while partner B listens. No interruptions, no feedback, no fixing. Just listening with full attention. Then switch roles. Afterward, take a deep breath together. You don't even need to comment. Let the silence hold what was shared. This is powerful medicine for any relationship. Listening is a radical act of love. Jack Kornfield once said, "When we listen with the whole being, not only do we hear more clearly, but the other person begins to heal." Listening isn't passive, it's generative. It builds bridges in places where there were walls. It soothes shame, it reclaims dignity, and it doesn't cost a thing. The world is noisy, people are exhausted. Being truly listened to is a gift so rare, it feels sacred. So try it. Start with one person today. Let go of being right. Let go of being helpful. Just be there. Listen like it matters. Because it does. Coming up in part Da, meditating together, a quiet revolution in connection. Keep practicing with us at Mindfulness. Meditating together, a quiet revolution in connection. What happens when two people sit together, in silence? No phones, no distractions, no words, just breath. Shared space, a little bit of stillness. It might feel awkward at first, maybe even silly, but there's something surprisingly intimate, even sacred, about meditating with someone else. Not talking about connection, not analyzing the relationship, but being in it. Thich Nhat Hanh called this interbeing, the deep understanding that we are not separate from each other, but intimately connected. When we meditate together, we begin to feel this truth in our bones. You don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be good at meditation. You just have to be willing to sit down and breathe together. Why meditate as a couple or a family? Research in neuroscience and psychology is clear. People who meditate experience less reactivity, more compassion, and better emotional regulation. But when you meditate together, something else happens. You synchronize. Literally, heart rates begin to align, breathing patterns sync, brain waves harmonize. Shared silence creates physiological harmony, the kind that words often can't reach. It's not magic, it's mindfulness. Try this. 5 minutes a day, side by side. Start simple. Sit next to your partner, friend, child, anyone you feel safe with. You don't need a fancy setup. Close your eyes or gently lower your gaze. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Feel your breath. Let it flow naturally. If your mind wanders, it will. Gently return to the sensation of sitting beside someone, breathing together. You don't need to talk afterward, but you can. Often, people find themselves more open, more patient, more available, simply because they sat in silence with another human being. No one's leading. You're just sharing space. This isn't a guided meditation. No one needs to be in charge. The goal isn't enlightenment or some deep mystical state. It's about presence, co-regulation, peace. John Kabat-Zinn, the American pioneer of secular mindfulness, once said, "Mindfulness is simply being aware of what is happening right now without wishing it were different." When you share that kind of non-judgmental awareness with someone else, it creates a safe and healing space, often more powerful than any advice or solution. But what if one of us hates meditation? That's okay. Don't force it. Start with 1 minute, or even just a shared moment of silence before a meal. Invite, don't insist. You can say something like, "Hey, want to sit for 2 minutes with me before we jump into the day?" No pressure. The goal is to make stillness feel nourishing, not like a chore. Sometimes one person starts practicing and the other slowly warms up over time. Sometimes they never join in, and that's okay too. Your own presence will shift the energy of the relationship, even without words. As Thich Nhat Hanh said, when you are mindful, your presence is enough. You don't need to do anything else. The power of shared intention. You can also try meditating on a shared intention. Before you begin, silently set a focus. For example, may we be more patient with each other today. May we speak with kindness. May our relationship be a place of safety and growth. You don't need to say it out loud. Just let the intention float quietly between you as you breathe together. Over time, this becomes a kind of emotional muscle memory, one that helps in tough conversations, misunderstandings, or when life gets messy. This isn't just for couples. Don't limit this practice to romantic partners. You can meditate with a friend, a teenager, a roommate, even a pet. Seriously, dogs love mindful stillness. The point is to practice shared presence and to remember that we are not alone. You can also meditate side by side over Zoom or FaceTime if you're long distance. Just knowing that someone is sitting and breathing with you across the miles can bring a surprising sense of intimacy. A story. From silence to connection. A couple in San Diego shared how they started meditating together after months of constant arguing. Nothing seemed to help. Therapy, books, long talks. One evening, after a big fight, they just sat down. No plan. No words, just silence. 5 minutes turned into 15. They didn't speak afterward, but something shifted. The next morning, they sat again. After a week, they found themselves arguing less, listening more. Not because the problems had vanished, but because their nervous systems weren't on constant high alert anymore. They had found a place of calm within the storm and within each other. It's not the silence. It's the presence. You don't have to be calm. You don't have to feel spiritual. You just have to show up. Over time, these small shared pauses build a kind of relational trust. The kind that doesn't need constant reassurance. The kind that says, I'll sit with you, even in silence. And that's a rare kind of love. Coming up in part 4, mindful walking, moving together in awareness. Keep breathing, keep practicing with mindfulness. Mindful walking, moving together in awareness. Most of the time, we walk to get somewhere, to the store, to work, to the next thing on the schedule. We rush, we scroll, we think about emails. Our body moves, but our mind is scattered, 100 steps ahead or behind. But what if walking wasn't just about getting somewhere, and instead became a way to come home to ourselves and to each other? That's what mindful walking offers. And when practiced with someone else, it becomes a beautiful way to build connection without needing to say a word. As Thich Nhat Hanh taught, walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet. It sounds poetic, but it's also deeply practical and healing, walking each other home. Imagine this, you and your partner, or your child, or your friend, step outside together. No phones, no talking. Just a shared intention to walk in awareness. You feel the ground beneath your feet. You notice your breath. You hear the birds, the breeze, the hum of the world around you. You don't need to look at each other to feel connected. You're already in sync, step by step, breath by breath. This is walking not for distance, but for presence. Try this. 10-minute mindful walk, no special gear, no fancy park. You can do this in your neighborhood, your backyard, even a hallway. Here's how. Begin by standing still together. Take a deep breath. Set a shared intention silently. Let's walk in peace, or let's walk without rushing. Start moving slowly. Feel the lift of one foot, the contact of the other with the earth. You can walk side by side or one behind the other. Try to stay silent during the walk. Let your senses lead. If your mind drifts, gently return to your breath and the feeling of your feet meeting the ground. Afterward, you can share what you noticed, or just enjoy the quiet afterglow. Why it works. Modern psychology backs this up. Movement paired with mindfulness reduces stress hormones, calms the nervous system, and strengthens relational bonds. For couples, it's a chance to connect physically and emotionally without the pressure of conversation. For parents and children, it's a nonverbal way to share peace and co-regulate emotions. For friends, it's a grounding ritual in a busy world. As meditation teacher Sharon Salzberg says, mindfulness isn't difficult. We just need to remember to do it. Walking together makes it easy to remember because you're doing it side by side. What if it feels weird at first? That's completely normal. We're so used to walking fast, talking constantly, or being distracted that slowing down can feel unnatural. But awkwardness is just a sign you're doing something different. Something meaningful. Start small. Even 2 mindful steps are enough to shift your state. Thich Nhat Hanh often led walking meditations with hundreds of people, slowly, in silence, and said it was one of the most powerful ways to connect to life. Not because of the silence, but because of the presence. He once shared, "Peace is every step. It turns the endless path to joy. That joy multiplies when we share it." Use it during conflict too. Here's something surprising. Mindful walking can also be used when things feel tense. If you and your partner are overwhelmed after a fight, try saying, "Let's take a walk." No talking, just walking. It gives your nervous systems time to reset. It creates space for emotions to settle without suppressing them. It shifts you out of fight or flight mode and into connection. You don't need to solve anything on the walk. Just walk together. Let nature hold you. Later, you'll find that conversations flow more easily. Solutions feel less forced. Compassion returns. Make it a ritual. Some couples do a Sunday morning mindful walk. Some families take 5 minutes after dinner. Some coworkers even use walking meditations during retreats or team building. Whatever your relationship, you can create your own rhythm. Walk. You might add a small bell sound at the beginning, or simply place your hands together in a small bow, a gesture Thich Nhat Hanh often encouraged to begin sacred space. You're not walking alone. You're walking with someone you care about. And with every step, you are watering the seeds of patience, peace, and presence. No destination. Just this step. The best part of mindful walking? You don't need a plan, or a perfect mood, or a deep spiritual intention. You just need this step, and the next, and the willingness to be present together. In a world that moves too fast, walking mindfully side by side is a quiet revolution. A reminder that love is not just about words or grand gestures. Sometimes it's just about walking slowly, not to escape, not to fix, just to be together. Coming up in part 5, the power of the pause, how to stay calm in conflict. Keep moving gently, keep practicing with mindfulness. The power of the pause, how to stay calm in conflict. We've all been there. One comment, one eye roll, one careless tone, and suddenly you're in the middle of a full-blown argument. Voices rise, shoulders tighten, hearts race. Before you know it, you've said something you didn't mean or heard something you can't unhear. Conflict is normal, but reactivity? That's optional. The difference between disconnection and deeper connection often comes down to one simple but life-changing practice, the pause. As Thich Nhat Hanh taught, between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose. In relationships, that space is sacred. It's where love remembers itself. It's where we stop reacting from habit and start responding from presence. Why we react and how to catch it. When you feel attacked, even slightly, your nervous system shifts into defense mode. Your brain gets hijacked by fear or anger. Logic goes offline. Compassion fades. You say things to win, not to understand. The pause helps us disrupt that pattern. It's a moment to breathe, to ground, to ask, what's really going on here? And when practiced regularly, it becomes a habit, like putting your hand gently on the emotional brake before you crash. Try this in the heat of the moment. Let's say tension is rising. You feel the urge to fire back. Instead, try this. 1. Pause. Say nothing. Take 1 conscious breath. 2. Feel your feet. Ground yourself in your body. 3. Place a hand on your chest or belly. Feel your body moving with the breath. 4. Silently ask, is what I'm about to say helpful? Feel math or just hurt? This might take 10 seconds, but those 10 seconds can save 10 hours of damage. Mindfulness isn't about never getting upset. It's about shortening the distance between reaction and reflection. As meditation teacher Joseph Goldstein says, when we react, we're not free. When we pause, we are. The power of naming it. Sometimes the most mindful thing you can do in a tough moment is to say, I need a pause. Not slamming doors. Not shutting down, just a calm, clear boundary. Let's take 5 minutes. I want to come back to this with more care. This is not avoidance. This is skillful interruption. You're signaling, I value this conversation enough to not rush it. Over time, couples or families who practice this build emotional safety. The nervous system starts to trust. We can have hard conversations and still stay connected. Use breath as your anchor. Thich Nhat Hanh often taught a simple breathing practice you can use in real time. Open quote, breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. Close quote. This may sound idealistic in the middle of conflict, but the first two lines, calm my body and smile, are surprisingly effective. Not the fake smile, but the kind that says, I remember, you're not the enemy. You're someone I care about. What if the other person doesn't pause? That's okay. You're not responsible for their reactions, only yours. Sometimes you becoming more grounded helps them settle down too. Emotions are contagious, and calm is just as catching as chaos. Start with you. Take your breath. Soften your tone. Practice that micro moment of compassion, even if they're still storming. Over time, this creates a shift. Not always instantly, but steadily. Create agreements during peaceful moments. One practical tip. Talk about the pause when you're not in conflict. You can say something like, hey, I've been learning about ways to handle arguments better. Would you be open to us using a pause when things get heated? Like a reset button? When both people agree in advance, the pause becomes a shared tool, not a shutdown. And if you're solo in practicing this, that's still powerful. Your pause is planting seeds. It's making space for a new way of being. A personal story, 90 seconds that saved a relationship. A couple shared that they used to fight constantly over small things, chores, money, parenting. But after a mindfulness retreat, they made a pact. When things got tense, one of them would raise a hand. That was the signal. Pause. No words, just breath. At first it felt awkward. But one day, mid-argument, the husband raised his hand, took a deep breath, and started crying. Not because he was sad, but because he finally saw the pattern. He was reacting from fear, not from love. That pause cracked something open. Now they say the pause is their emotional reset. Not a fix-all, but a lifesaver. From reaction to response, from habit to healing. You don't need to be a monk to practice this. You just need to notice the moment when anger rises and choose to breathe instead of bite. That's mindfulness. That's love in action. As Thich Nhat Hanh said, anger is like a storm. If you can stay grounded in your breath, it will pass and the sky will clear. The pause is how we find the clear sky again, together. Coming up in part 6, touch without words, building connection through nonverbal presence. Keep pausing, keep breathing with mindfulness. Touch without words, reconnecting through silent presence. A thumb brushed over the back of a hand. No speech, no apology. Just a gentle reminder, I'm still here, I still care. Sometimes the loudest form of love is silent. In that one simple gesture, a thumb gently moving across skin, something shifts, walls soften, hearts remember. We often think connection requires talking, explaining, solving. But in mindful relationships, we learn a powerful truth. Touch can speak where words fall short. Thich Nhat Hanh beautifully said, open quote, to be loved is to be recognized, to be seen, heard, and touched with mindfulness, close quote. And when that happens, healing begins. Touch is not just physical, it's emotional safety. When we're stressed, overwhelmed, or hurting, our body searches for one thing, safety. Mindful, compassionate touch signals exactly that. It's a nonverbal message that tells the nervous system, you're not alone, you're safe now. Science confirms what ancient wisdom already knew. Gentle, intentional touch calms the body, lowers cortisol, boosts oxytocin, and helps people reconnect, not just physically, but emotionally. And the best part? You don't have to be a therapist, healer, or expert. You just need to be present. Try this, the 30-second touch practice stand. Or sit next to someone you care about. Place your hand gently on their back, shoulder, or hand. No need to talk. Just stay there for 30 seconds, fully present. Let the touch be slow, kind, and relaxed. Breathe together. That's it. You're not trying to change anything. You're just offering your presence through your hand, your breath, your stillness. That alone can bring down defenses and open the heart. Turn everyday touch into connection. Most of us touch without thinking. A rushed hug, a distracted kiss, a quick squeeze of the hand. It's easy to go through the motions without truly showing up. But what if you slowed down just a little? When you hug your partner, pause for 3 full breaths. When you hold your child's hand, notice the warmth, the shape, the history in those fingers. When you sit beside a friend, let your shoulders gently lean in, not for support, but for shared presence. These are not dramatic acts. They're micro moments of mindfulness, and they can transform how safe and seen people feel around you. As meditation teacher Jack Kornfield says, open quote, "In the end, just 3 things matter: how well we have lived, how well we have loved, and how well we have learned to let go." Close quote. Touch, conscious, caring, simple touch, is often part of all 3. What about during tension or distance? When conflict happens, many of us pull away, emotionally and physically. And that's understandable. We need space to breathe, to cool down. But sometimes after the heat fades, we want to reconnect and don't know how. This is when mindful touch can become a powerful bridge, not forced, not performative, just offered as a quiet question. Can I sit next to you? Can I hold your hand? Can I place my palm on your back? Not to fix, but to be close again. If the other person is open, that touch can say more than any apology. If they're not ready, that's okay. Mindfulness also means respecting boundaries, listening, not just with ears, but with attention, energy, and care. The hugging meditation from Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village. One of the most beautiful mindfulness practices for relationships is hugging meditation. Simple, profound, and deeply grounding. Here's how it works. 1, stand facing each other. Take 3 slow breaths. 2, embrace, gently, with full presence. No rush. 3, while hugging, breathe in and out together 3 times. Feel the contact. 4, then release, slowly. Many people who try this say it feels more intimate than a deep conversation. Because it is a conversation, just without words. You don't need to explain it. You can simply ask your partner or loved one, "Can we try a mindful hug?" You might be surprised how powerful this small act becomes. Touch as a form of listening. We often think listening only happens with our ears, but the truth is you can listen with your hands. You can listen with your stillness, your gentleness, your willingness to stay without fixing. Touch becomes a kind of yes. Yes, I see you. Yes, I'm staying. Yes, I care, even when it's hard. Tara Brach calls this kind of presence radical acceptance. It's the ability to hold another person exactly as they are, without judgment, without agenda. Sometimes that holding is emotional. Sometimes it's literal. Everyday nonverbal touch practices, the silent forehead touch, a quiet moment of connection before bed, the steady hand squeeze, while waiting in line, watching a show, or riding in the car, the shoulder-to-shoulder sit, no talking, just being close, a kiss on the top of the head, a gesture that says, "You're precious to me." These tiny acts done mindfully create emotional safety that words alone often can't. In a world full of words, let touch be a prayer. We spend so much time explaining, so much energy talking it out, but sometimes what our relationships need most is silence, a breath, a gentle hand, a thumb brushing over the back of a hand. No fixing, no forcing, just being. As Thich Nhat Hanh once said, open quote, "When you love someone, the best thing you can offer is your presence." Close quote. And sometimes presence feels exactly like a quiet hand resting on the shoulder, saying everything that needs to be said without a single word. Coming up in part 7, everyday mindfulness, making your relationships sacred without doing more. Keep touching gently. Keep loving fully with mindfulness. Everyday mindfulness, making your relationships sacred without doing more. You don't need a meditation cushion. You don't need incense, or perfect communication skills, or hours of free time. You don't need to be more to bring mindfulness into your relationships. You just need to remember more often, to pause, to breathe, to show up. Mindfulness isn't something extra you add on top of your life. It is your life, lived with intention, attention, and care. And when it comes to relationships, that's everything. The sacred lives in the ordinary there. One of the most profound teachings from Thich Nhat Hanh is this. Open quote, drink your tea slowly and reverently, as if it is the axis on which the world earth revolves, slowly, evenly, without rushing toward the future. Close quote. This is how we can treat our relationships too. The quick text, the good night kiss, the morning coffee shared at the kitchen counter. None of it needs to be fancy. It just needs to be real. The sacred doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being more present with what's already here. What if the relationship is hard? Some days you won't feel like being mindful. You'll feel triggered, tired, impatient, distant. And that's okay. Mindfulness doesn't mean never messing up. It means noticing when you do and gently returning. You can always begin again. Maybe that means offering an apology with presence. Maybe that means holding your partner's hand without words. Maybe it means listening today, even if you were defensive yesterday. As Jack Kornfield reminds us, open quote, even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Look what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole sky. Close quote. You don't need to be perfect. Just warm. Just willing. 5 everyday mindful moments you can start today. These small practices don't require extra time, just extra attention. 1. Greet each other with presence. When your loved one walks in the room, stop what you're doing for a moment. Look them in the eye. Smile. Let them feel seen. 2. Transition together. Take 60 seconds when switching between activities, from work to dinner, from screen time to bed, to breathe together, or simply sit in silence. 3. Say goodbye slowly. Whether it's a quick goodbye before work or a longer parting, let the moment be full. A mindful hug, a quiet I love you, one breath together. 4. Appreciate out loud. Notice something small. Say it. I saw how you took a breath before responding. That meant a lot. Name the good. It plants seeds. 5. Be where your feet are. If you're eating together, eat together. If you're walking, walk. Let go of multitasking and return to the person in front of you. None of this requires changing your schedule, just shifting your state. Presence changes everything. So many relational wounds come from absence, from people being physically there but emotionally gone. But when you offer your presence, full, kind, non-judgmental, something magical happens. Walls fall, hearts soften, healing begins. You don't even have to say much. You just have to be here. Open quote. When we are mindful, deeply in touch with the present moment, our understanding of what is going on deepens, and we begin to be filled with acceptance, joy, peace, and love. Thich Nhat Hanh, close quote. Let your relationship be a place where both people can feel that joy, that peace, that love. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. You're already doing it. If you've read this far, you're already on the path. You care. You're learning. You're showing up. That's enough. There will be days you forget, days when mindfulness feels far away. That's part of the journey. But remember, every breath is a doorway back. You can come home to yourself. You can come home to each other. One pause, one breath, one touch, one small act of mindful love at a time. Thank you for practicing with mindfulness. We hope this journey through mindful relationship practices has touched something deep in you. May your connections grow softer, stronger, more spacious. And may you remember, always, that you don't need to do more to be more present. You're already enough. Just keep showing up.